4 through 4 and 5, and then laptops 6 through 12. And so they have access to technology in all of their classes all day long. And then, so, you know, if a cell phone, in essence, is right now a tablet and a computer, it's up to teachers, and it's always been up to teachers. You may or may not agree with me, but a cell phone and an inkwell, you could screw around with both of them, right? I remember I see those pictures of Bobby taking Susie's pink ponytails and dumping them in inkwell. It's up for the teachers. Lay out your classroom rules. When are appropriate times to use either the tablet, either the laptop, or the phone, right? There are a lot of really great educational apps to be used. There's a lot of junk out there, right? So we have to educate our kids as to what's worthwhile and what's not. We have to say, look, this is a time where we're going to have a class discussion and all technology gets put away, right? And kids respect that. Kids respect that. I think to try to ban them, to try to confiscate them and they're being used at lunch, for example, is a losing battle that just creates negative interactions as we're trying to build those positive relationships. And for some kids, I was a high school teacher and a high school principal, and I always knew that some kids just like to be alone. You know, they'd find their spot in the morning before school started or something like that. So if a student's there reading or listening to music from their phone and they're not hurting anybody or doing anything, great. You know, just continue to build those relationships with them. Let them do that. Can the phone become a problem? Sure. You know, my greatest fear with that, and again, I'm not going to be able to win this fight, but I know that a lot of our safety protocols and a lot of our safety plans are going to go to heck just like that, because as soon as something happens, kids are going to be on their phones telling mom, dad, or everybody else what's going on. And while we're trying to keep people away from buildings or lock things down or trying to get things done, it's the world in which we live.
It's a great question. I believe we have a responsibility to put our students in an environment to learn responsible behaviors for the world in which they're going to live. And I struggle to believe that any of our children today have a future that is technology free. And therefore I see it as our responsibility to show the children of today how to behave responsibly with these devices. As Steve pointed out, Lewisburg, Mifflinburg has a one-to-one initiative at our high school, and we have enough devices at our other schools to essentially be one-to-one at those levels as well, although we don't send them home. Teachers do create rules for their classroom in terms of the operating procedures for that space. And those rules, by the way, can change from day to day. On any particular day, it may be acceptable for students to have ready access to technology, including cell phones, which can sometimes be used as instructional tools. There are apps on the cell phone that teachers have used for that purpose. There may be other days that are technology-free days, where perhaps we are working in collaborative groups with partners, or maybe we are working paper and pencil. And it's part of our responsibility to teach the children of today how to follow those rules and how to stay out of trouble with regard to those rules and to be appropriate when the situation is called for. I can tell you that on some of our discipline reports, I have seen cell phone violation as the breaking of a rule. And for me, that's not definitive enough. Because I'm going to tell you, as I sit here, I have a cell phone on me. And I really don't want to feel like that's going to land me in trouble. It's a behavior that I choose to use with a cell phone that can get me into trouble. And if it is a behavior that needs to be addressed with a student, then that should be probably described and not the cell phone, as if that's the evil piece.
Can you address your views on cyber schools and charter schools?
Steve said I could go first on this one.
Neither of you have a cyber school at the school, do you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do?
We have our own center.
We do have, at Mifflinburg, we call it our e-learning academy.
I didn't realize that, I'm sorry.
Sure. The concept of charter schools has been around for a very long time. And I think if you were to speak to superintendents anywhere in Pennsylvania today, you're likely to hear something like, we have no problem with competition. We invite others to innovate and show us new ways to do our job better. We're interested in greater efficiency and greater achievement for our students. And if charter schools can demonstrate challenges for us that make us step up our game or make us become more competitive or make us learn how to do things better with regard to student learning, then we are in favor of that movement. The great concern that you hear today is not just with regard to charter schools. Charter schools is a broad brush, but it's specifically cyber charter schools are institutions that have arisen to, in my opinion, I'll just speak for me, siphon money from our public school system in an effort to send our local tax dollars somewhere else. Most of the cyber schools that operate in a large population across Pennsylvania are not housed right here in our backyard. Those institutions were built around large metropolitan areas. Philadelphia and Harrisburg are two of those areas. Pittsburgh has been one of those areas as well. And they generally do not have a building that you're paying for. They don't have facilities to upkeep. They don't have fields to mow, sidewalks to shovel, lunches to serve. They don't have buses to run because students are learning at a computer from their home. We are paying, although the advertisements that you'll see on TV indicate cyber schools are free. And that's like me saying the Mifflinburg Area School District is free. And it is, but we pay our tax dollars to have that be the case. Cyber schools do not have a tax base other than us. And anytime a Mifflinburg student or a Lewisburg student or a Selinsgrove or Midwest or Milton student decides they want to go to one of these other cyber schools, the funding for that school is directly taken from our state subsidy. And my argument to that is that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is operating several different systems of public education under the guise that it's free, but with concerns over the rising costs of taxes for everybody. We should know that those taxes are paying for multiple different systems.
All right. So, Dan hit upon a lot of the important points. Charter schools can be either brick and mortar schools or they can be cyber schools. We don't have, never had, again, a problem with competition. I have a problem with